What's up, fellow lords of gaming, and welcome back to Marvel Future Revolution. This is going to be an episode of the good, the bad, and the ugly, the balance patch. Let's see if I can get this done in 10 minutes or less. Let's start out with the big highlights overall. Number one, Spider-Man did not receive a nerf. You guys might have to figure out how to skillfully play him a little bit more to basically say, hey, 1-2 seconds in between, when I'm actually casting this ability instead of just being able to rotate through the skills. But that's not a nerf. Telling you that you now have to add some skill inside there instead of just clicking on buttons and running through the whatchamacallit, that's not a nerf. Not a nerf at all. Giving players a 2 to 3 second window, not a nerf. Captain Marvel, nerfed. In terms of Captain Marvel being able to dodge out of skills infinitely the way Spider-Man was, nerf. She got nerfed. Star-Lord being ranked higher now because every other character in the game got nerfed, nerf. That is a nerf. And a nerf overall to other characters, a buff to Star-Lord. It is what it is. Let's address why this stuff is so consequential to the game. A few weeks back, Wolverthor, Halfsin, they published videos literally talking about the state of the game, or the player base of the game really is what they talked about. And number one overall was there's a problem with the total numbers of players considering the number of downloads, and that this game was just up for awards inside the gaming industry. They were trying to say they were competing with a game like Genshin Impact and they had over 1 million downloads. Well, guess what? Who is Deathpool did a approximation of players through using Battle Challenge in order to try to guess. So as long as people are actually playing Battle Challenge, the numbers should be right. Even if we operated with standards of deviation, we're talking about less than 100,000 players concurrently across all servers. And the servers that are showing the most engagement are the European servers, the ones in Asgard, Midgardia, and Dark Domain. The player base on Omega Flight, which was the original server, has literally dwindled from about 5,000 players down to less than 2,000. We're talking about somewhere probably in the 17 to 1900 range of players on a daily basis. This is bad. This patch paired with the patch previously where they try to force engagement in the dark zone and then say that, this is where it is. There's clearly a methodology that's happening here. The large intent behind the game comes in two folds when you realize, A, you released the character and you gave no ability for people to transmute materials for her the way you said you were going to do for other characters. We're nearly a month out and we still have no ability to transmutate costumes or Omega cards for magic. And when they released the notes to say they were taking away the ability for players to earn XP inside the dark zone, and then basically nerfed our ability to level our characters to 110, the new player cap. They introduced a whole new zones, PvE zones, so that way you could do it, but they nerfed the amount of time that we could have, because the amount of time that you have inside that training ground times versus the time that we had inside dark zone makes no sense. And then they put the method for you to actually earn more time, guess what, in the Marvel Mall. So now with this patch right here, we basically roll into what seems to be a full-fledged effort to basically say we need to earn more money with this game. The game, even in its Q3 earnings report, wasn't making the amount of money that you would have expected a Marvel IP game in its first 6 months to actually make. It was only competing with like Marvel Future Fight. Still wasn't competing with a dying game like 7 Deadly Sins. Still wasn't competing with any of the other top titles like Genshin Impact or Honkai 3D Impact or Punishing Ravens or anything like that in any shape, form, or way. It literally sat at the bottom of the pool. And here goes the large problem with that, is that clearly their effort has been more engaged on trying to subvertly tell you that we need more money and to pull money out of your pockets. Because with this patch, what's going to happen is that a lot of players are going to want to re-roll characters, meaning that they're going to want to switch from Doctor Strange's, they're going to want to switch from Captain America's, because they're seeing that, A, I'm not going to get any love, and the only way for me to get love is to just switch these characters to a whole nother character. Basically, switch to Spider-Man, switch to Iron Man, switch to Storm, or switch to Magic. That's basically your route right now to play. I can't feasibly do that. Like I've told you guys in the past, It's not what I'm doing. So what I see here is a concerted effort by the developers to subvertly say, this is what we're going to do. We're going to try to generate more revenue for the game, because I cannot wait to see the Q4 earnings report, which have to be abysmal at this point, considering that the player base is down at 72,000 players. I don't care if all the whales in here were generating $1 million a month, you know, a quarter for the game, or, you know, that's not going to be enough to sustain an entire development team. And the smaller that development team, the longer it's going to take for you to get updates, and it's not going to work. It's not going to work. You've got to be generating more money than that for the development of this game to continue, especially a game that, like, a mobile platform game. There's just no way. So it's really weird to take a look at the game from that standpoint. Now, going back to what I said about the player count, right, and we get into the earnings report, is that we see this, like, and the clear thing becomes that I hope players understand that you can actually look at this stuff and you can see it, because there's nothing good about this patch. There's nothing bad about this patch. This is all ugly about this patch. What it shows and displays to us is that we have a development team that, doesn't seem to understand, and they're not doesn't understand the foundational you know, requirements to build a game like this, and B, is not listening to the player base. They're not listening at all, because if they were, none of the changes that they made would have been there. And then literally has a vested interest in just trying to generate revenue for the game, which is not a bad thing, because no game is done for free. But the way in which you go about it is Magic's inability to have costumes and Omega cards transmuted nearly a month after her release should say infinitely more to players than this patch has. Because if you're looking at Magic and you look at her ability not to have these things done, there's no reason for it. This is a concerted thing. This is not by happenstance. This is not by mistake. This is not by, you know, a coder can't figure this shit out. You literally only have to copy and paste the goddamn code from one character to another in order to fucking figure that out and say, I'm going to have the transmutation for this character available inside here, and switch happy to glad. She's not in there for a reason, and the reason is that they intend to generate revenue off of her first and foremost, so that way you, the players who really are engaged in her, are going to spend money to get those cards, are going to spend money to get those uniforms for her. And then by the time you get there, other players, when they start seeing the potential of her or whatever, then they might want to tag along. This is bad, man, and I don't really know what to say. Obviously, I'm not going to leave the game. It doesn't take me that long to play the game, like I've spoken to you guys about that before. It doesn't take me a whole lot of time to engage in gameplay for this game, which is a good thing, because if it did, then I probably would leave the game. But overall, the direction of this game right now seems rudderless. It seems without exactly leadership. They missed out an opportunity here to do Chilling with Danny Koo to explain these segments. They missed out on an opportunity to actually address players' concerns and ingratiate themselves to players and do it in a good way, so that players felt like, you know, the game was going in a direction where they need. We still don't have a roadmap for future characters. That could have been something that was revealed in the new year with a Chilling with Danny Koo session, but we don't. We're literally there. Obviously, Danny Koo in his last with Magic was like, well, I know that I'm not gonna, you know, release any teasers like this or whatever. Well, I hope to God we're not on that same timeline for Magic for a new character, because basically we'd be looking at freaking April, May before we get a new character, and there's nothing in this game right now to sustain this game going to April or May, with other games like Lost Ark and Elden Ring coming out in the next few months. I just don't get it, guys. I really hope that they are seeing the negative reaction and that they choose to do something about it, release something to talk to the community about it, but I really doubt it. I doubt it immensely, but we'll see. I hope you guys are enjoying the day. Hope you guys are enjoying the new year. Until next time, peace.